All right, so welcome to Free Game. This is your host, D. Lewis. I want to talk about a couple of different topics. I want to talk about some things that I came across. Um, and I want to talk about a little bit of motivation. Like I said, I always like to watch motivational videos. It don't matter if it's talking about the physical, financial, if it's talking about spiritual, if it's about your journey to becoming a Christian. If it's about your journey of trying to work out, try to get in shape, trying to eat better, trying to be a better wife, a better husband, you know, son, a daughter, whatever it is. Like I like to watch and motivational videos. Now, like any other person, I know sometimes we can deep dive, we get distracted, we can fall victim to all the circumstances and things that's going on. But I always tell people you can't get lost in things that are like placed upon you. And what I always say is you are a reflection. So you want to make sure you're watching something that's motivational because you one day might be able to push that motivation on somebody else and have an impact in their life. So that's like when I choose to do the poetry that I write, like for me personally, this poetry is more so like therapy, but it's also a hobby. It's something that I enjoy doing. It's a reflection, it's perspective. Um, it's other people's perspective. I like to, collide stories sometimes. I like to actually think outside the box a little bit, just like anybody else who choose poetry or writing. Um, and like I said, sometimes you got to give things time to grow. Me giving things time to grow is when I actually choose to start writing. When it comes down to releasing poetry, that's a different story. Like anybody else who is a poet, you just want your voice to be heard, so you're gonna try to be releasing as much as possible, just because there's just the natural mindset of somebody who does poetry for not just for a living. Because like I said, this is a hobby. For me, it's personal, it's therapy. It's testimonies in there. It's battles and struggles of other individuals, but you can always learn off of somebody else. It's biblical stories in there. And it's a lot of things that you can highlight that you can pull from that it can actually keep you going, while everything in this world is looking gray. And I always tell you when you go through the Bible, you understand that there's no gray areas, it's only black or white. And you gotta realize um when it's the deception part is the gray area, that you don't want to fall victim to being misled or getting too comfortable, is what I always say. I say sometimes you never find growth because individuals, a lot of times they get too comfortable. They don't know that sometimes you got to go through it. If you want to see change, then you got to make the change. You got to move off of action. Words is different. Words can only get you so far, but you got to actually move off of action. You can't be trying to follow in the footsteps of others. And a lot of times you have a lot of people who will see influencers and all, they might be talking about finances and things you can do. And you can't plan how success will be and how it will look. Success comes in so many different forms, and the form that you want it to come in, it might not ever be in that form. Like people love to pray for finances and financial gain, and you know, for individuals, it might come in the form of family. Like you might have um be blessed to have a strong family. Those individuals who look up to you, the respect from your family. So I always tell people to count their blessings and stay disciplined, stay motivated. And I always say discipline over motivation because motivation might get you up, but it ain't gonna get you consistent results. Discipline is gonna get you the results that you're looking for. So, um, like I said, I want to talk about a couple of like topics that's been going on in um, that I come across. And then I was going to actually get in to talk about some projects that I've been working on when it comes down to music. Like I said, Chastised with Love is out right now. You can check it out on Apple Music, Spotify, YouTube. Um, haven't really did a lot of promotion of it. I think I'm gonna start closer to my birthday around that time, do a little bit more promotion. Actually plan on dropping another album near my birthday just because, like I said, I'm sitting on a lot of stuff. I started back writing in 2024, and I used to challenge myself after fasting 2 months. I was like, let me challenge myself to say every single day I want to write and reflect on things that I'm going through currently. Give myself 24 hours to say, you know, God to speak through you and he'll tell you things to write about. But that's only if you can detox from the noise that's around you. So sometimes you got to put the phone down. Sometimes you got to get off of social media. Sometimes you got to do not just a fast from food, but a mental fast and detox from all these different things that's pulling at you. So that's the challenge that I challenge myself to get the results of the the poetry that I chose to write about. Like me being doing lyrics was nothing new, but the motivation to say what to write about is new. Because I used to have to ask individuals like, "Yo, what topics do you want to write about?" And that's not the case no more. I feel like it's more natural. It comes easier. Um, and it's so many things you can write about. But like after you get done with how you're writing, it's about putting it out there. If 35 people see it, if one person see it, I'm hoping that it's a deep enough message that it can help change somebody's life for the better. So they can dig themselves out or whatever pit that they in, and they can strive for any form of greatness that God has for them, and so they can find a purpose. Um, like, and then with that being said, like I said, I'm really into watching motivational videos. So I've been coming across this one channel called Diamond Gym, and hopefully you guys subscribe. But they actually do some solid work. Like they push people past their limits physically and strengthen them mentally. You get the free game every single show that I've seen. They give free game about the hurdles you got to go through in life and how it's not supposed to be easy. The facade of things being comfortable, that's a facade. Sometimes you're gonna go through things that's uncomfortable, and to get those results, you got to keep putting the work in. So it's not like they say with the military, it breaks you down and it builds you back up. On here, they breaking you down physically, but they're building you up mentally. So you are mentally strong. So if you ever had to, you can get past those hurdles in life that you come across. So you can pull yourself up. So you can be somebody who your children is gonna look up to, and they're gonna say, "Look, that's what I want to replicate." And the beautiful part of it is they pull in all these influencers, and a lot of times these influencers come in there and they got the cameraman and they're like, we gonna get some good footage and they gonna make some money off of it because that's the mindset. Understand people gotta make a living, and then they realize, shoot, your cameraman gonna be doing burpees too. Your cameraman gonna be doing push-ups. Your cameraman gonna be doing, um, if they doing squats, if they hitting the heel, if they doing burpees, push-ups, chin-ups, like nobody is exempt when they walk in there because he's trying to teach a brotherhood. He's trying to say like everybody holds each other accountable. And a better society is ran when you have individuals who are close to you can hold you accountable and you can learn from them mistakes. I always tell people that the grace that God gives is the conviction to self-correct. A midlife crisis is a moment where you can have conviction because you could be going in the wrong direction for 12 years. But if you don't recognize it, if you don't want to pivot, and if you don't make a change, then you're going to keep seeing the same exact results. So I appreciate, like I said, Diamond Gym. the things that they doing. It's not about um who can be the biggest, who can lift the most weight. No, it's about, listen, mentally, you got to get over this. You got to eat those hurdles in life, those struggles, and you know what? There's always tomorrow. You gonna see tomorrow. A lot of times we get so hyped up on the physical day that we never actually plan for tomorrow. And like I said, I appreciate the fact that he goes in. He has a bunch of young individuals, people in the mid age. It's no limit to who you are as an individual to come in there. I've seen women was in there, young teenagers, um, older men, and they all have the same goal. They're trying to get over a mental hurdle, and he helps them get through that. Talk about therapy, that's a form of therapy. When people go to the gym sometimes, that's a form of therapy. It's a form of getting it out your system and overcoming. Um, I also wanted to, not a deep dive, but you know, like I said again, we're talking about these Epstein files. Um, a lot of this stuff, for one, most of these rumors, most of these things that was theory and conspiracy theories, frankly, it's just coming out, turning out to be true. So you have a lot of individuals who are like, oh man, that people been talking about that type of stuff and that lifestyle that these people live, but it was never no evidence. You had to go off of, listen, that's just the world that they live in, and it's about extortion. It's about what they can do to get over on somebody, how they, you know, are targeting younger people, younger generations. They are, and the weird thing is, like I said, you got a group of individuals who are doing this, but then you have another group of individuals who are caping and protecting these people. So, like, I don't understand when you have two type of like it's two type of people, and they, to me personally, I feel like it's they both guilty. Like if you are caping for somebody who is clearly doing this and you helping this individual out, dog, you about as guilty as the one taking advantage of doing the act. Like what are we talking about? The reason they came up with the RICO Act was for the Italian mafia. And ever since then it's been used against a lot of um black people who have been victims of gang behavior, or if they got um caught up in uh and the crazy part is, this is the crazy part. Gang behavior is when people are repping either location, you know, a clique or whoever it is, a brotherhood, whatever it is, and you can obviously, even if you don't do anything illegal, because you are consistently trying to rep something that is considered a illegal organization, they can get a RICO charge. Like again, most of those cases have been against a lot of people of color. Not saying that it don't happen to other individuals. I'm just saying, like, when it comes down to all the shit that's popping off with these files, like it's no way that it's only two people that got arrested, one person that supposedly died, another person is pleading the fifth to every single thing, and publicly is pretty much saying that they're waiting for some type of pardon, or they can get off easier with all the information that's popped off. Like so much stuff has been redacted to the point where I don't think individuals even want to see the redactions, because the stuff that's already went public is crazy. It's absolutely nuts. And I'm gonna keep it short. I feel like people today, you got to be conscientious of, which side you standing on, because it shouldn't be a question. Like I said, there ain't no gray areas. People try to make it seem like it's a gray area, and it's not. I think that's a part of the deception. Like it's either you are doing God's work or you are doing the devil's work. And like I said, when you live comfortable, being comfortable, sometimes you get caught up in doing the devil's work and don't even know it. Never catch conviction. Never have the chance of repentance because you done got comfortable reflecting the world and you don't even understand that you might be entertaining or doing the devil's work. So, like I said, um, like it's to me is crazy, man. The amount of information um is nuts. But the individuals who was begging for the files to be released, I don't want to see individuals being passive after they beg for the files to be released. If you are somebody who is begging for those situations or whatever, then you want to be selective. Um, I'm like, you can't be trying to pick favors in uh sex trafficking, like a ring of sex traffickers. You can't be trying to pick favorites. That shit is mind blowing. And like the part that gets me is I don't understand why. Like, I don't ever think if you have a kid, if you don't have a kid, you don't need to put somebody to put a battery in your back to say, look, is this something that you want reflected in your society that you live in? That's the personal question that individuals need to ask themselves. Like, is this something that you want to reflect in the society that you live in? A lot of individuals, I personally feel, can't answer that question. And I'm like, bro, you asked for it, it's out. Now, where's the repercussions? And look, if you innocent, you know, court, go to court. If there's no evidence, you feel like somebody threw your name in there, shoot, be transparent. Don't choose to run. Don't choose to hide. Be transparent. Because, again, you know, I'm a Christian and I believe that, um, you know, yes, Jesus will return. And yes, judgment will come. Everybody wants the comfort of understanding that Jesus is going to return. Yes, he's going to return. But also realizing that your personal things that you are sitting with, that's judgment is going to come as well. And it's going to be a new earth and it's going to be a new heaven. So, like, I feel like people in their mind, they say certain things and because it makes them feel good and they want to, that's the thing. Everybody want to get caught up in their feelings a little bit. But the whole goal and preparation is for what you're doing currently in this day. And I am somebody who believe that yes, you need to have faith. You need to understand um that Jesus died for your sins, but you also need to realize you can't be somebody who just choose to go to church on a Sunday and think salvation is going to be yours and it won't be lost because you're not putting in any form of work of trying to help your fellow neighbor, your fellow brother, your fellow sister, somebody in need, somebody who you might not have no relation to. But I always tell people the best fellowship, communication, is the best ways of tithes and offerings because you are giving somebody the game that they can help them and can break those generational curses that they might be going through. So a lot of times individuals think that time is about how much can you spend and how much can you offer somebody, and it has to be and money has to be made. And I always try to tell people, y'all need to figure out what holds value. What absolutely holds value when it comes down to the things that you are doing? Because if a paper receipt is the one thing that you gravitate towards. That's your one all be all. And I'm like, purpose is being in service to others. When you try to seek and you want to find purpose in life, we all are great at different things. You all can be an alpha at different things. It's not saying that an individual needs to be a beta or something. But that's the beautiful part about understanding the Bible is when he takes broken people, he finds what can make them an alpha and what can make them even better. And he say, let me pour in purpose into you so you can pour that purpose into other individuals. If you somebody with a cup already full and nobody can pour nothing into you, that you can benefit others because you are so full of all the corruption, all the deception, all the different things that this world has to offer. So like take what I'm saying, and I'm hoping that a lot of people will try to make some changes, um find what holds value. And I know we can talk about, value from an economic standpoint, but you can talk about value of what makes you a better human being. What's your morals and values, and do they waver? Do they pivot? Do they change based on your circumstances or your environment? Are you going to be the same individual, or are you going to reflect the pain, the hurt, the suffering on somebody else? And that's the definition when they keep saying when hurt people hurt people. When you go through something in life that might be traumatic, and then you so quick and you jump into something else, and you start to pour that type of hurt, that pain into somebody else, and you like, man, I can't keep running away from people who like to victimize me. I'm like, it's not the individuals who came to you with the mindset saying they want to turn you into a victim. It's the fact that you were already a victim and you never was healed. So y'all start to reflect toxicity on top of each other. So, you know, um, like I said, man, it's so many different things going on where, like you said, you gotta sit in silence. Like, I ain't saying to be completely blind. Don't be somebody who want to be naive, because I don't believe that you can be naive to all the craziness that's been going on. But you know, sometimes it's okay to sit in silence, to detox from it. Find out what you enjoy, what you can be into service for others, and how you can help an individual and not feel like there is something old back, you know, because you help the individual. I always appreciate the moments of conversation, the moments of fellowship. A lot of times, those moments is the ways you can be humbled. And for me personally, when you are humbled, you get a closer connection, a closer relationship to God. When you can separate pride and you can put your ego, your pride aside, better things happen, better outcomes happen. Now, I'm about to get into a little bit of personal stories of how I've seen that happen in the past, without being not explicit, but just um, not trying to break no HIPAA laws. But I want to kind of talk about me working as a respiratory therapist and ways I try to mentor when I have students, ways I try to help individuals figure it out, but not overstep, not try to micromanage. Um, so as a respiratory therapist, it's a couple of different ways how I approach my job. Um, the first thing is, like, I always try to make sure that especially when I have a student and if I have an orient, is that I don't want to overwhelm them. It's 12 hours out the day. You plan on the whole goal is to build a solid foundation. So I tell them to focus on three things within that 12 hours that you want to master. After you master that, the following day, we can move on to the three other things. Everything don't need to be learned in one day. Now, will I go over um different things? Absolutely. But I'ma ask them before we get started, what is it that you want to get comfortable with? So if it's trach care, if it's mechanical ventilators, if it's understanding your waveforms, patient assessment, um, we got plenty of special procedures. So we do bronchs, EDMs, um, we drop a esophageal Doppler balloon, so it lets you know what optimal peep they should be at. Mini BALs. It's plenty of different things that can be learned after you get established as your career, but that's something that you don't really truly need to focus on. You need to get comfortable on the fundamentals. So usually that's what I choose to do when I have an orient. And like I said, my perspective of even when I'm like a respiratory therapist, like I step in when I need to step in. Like I'm going to be the advocate when I feel like it's too many cooks in the kitchen and then they moving in the right direction, then cool. I sit back, I do what I need to do as my job, and that's it. That's it. But if I feel like something needs to be said or something needs to be done a specific type of way, then yeah, I'm gonna let my voice be heard. And I feel like anybody who's in the healthcare field will understand that and they should do the same. We're not here to be passive. We're not here to be friends. We're not here to for any of that. I think we just here to make sure that like success for me is for an individual to go home, not to just get off the ventilator. Is just for that individual to make it home, to make it out the hospital and like get back to a regular life. So, it's plenty of times where either I'm gonna give advice from a respiratory therapist standpoint, or it's times where I'm gonna give it some advice from like if somebody need dialysis, or if they need a little bit more sedation, or you need to switch them to Precedex, and then I'm gonna give a solid explanation of why I'm recommending those things in the first place. Like I always tell people, you don't have to you don't have to sit around and wait for a physician to tell you uh, what should be done. As a therapist, if you know what you're doing, if you feel like we have ways of assessment with stethoscope, looking at waveforms, checking our peak pressures, and a lot of times I always say, patient position, talking to the patient is communication is very important. That's why, like, I wrote a song called Brother's Keeper, which I haven't released it yet, but the whole purpose of Brother's Keeper is a 80-year-old man who has um a secret that basically God has given him a secret of how to you know stay faithful and like live for God, how to keep your faith. And towards the end of his life, he starts to realize, go through all the steps that, an individual will go through being in the hospital and being intubated. And I'm good at understanding different perspectives, putting myself in somebody else's shoes. So a lot of times, you know, that's why people can you can be an empath for the entire world because you can have empathy for the things and the victims of other individuals. But, you know, it's important. Like I said, when I wrote that, it was about, the young man who came in, it was a respiratory therapist, and he was talking, he was educating him, he was coaching him through the things that he was about to go through. So, if you've been here before, it's easier for somebody who's been here before to coach him through those hurdles in life. Um, we're not here to just do a job or not to get fired. We're here to like be a solid advocate and change people's lives. Like I said, it's up you here to be in service. That's why I don't really complain if it's a transport or whatever. What 2 seconds of complaining for what? If the person individual needs it, he needs it. No matter if it's that shift change or what. If it's that working the NICU neonates. And sometimes we pick up children from other hospitals. And I feel like it can be at 6:50. I get off at 7. If we gotta go, we just gotta go. It is what it is. You know, I'm one of those individuals like, yo, that's why, like, when I see Diamond Jim, I'm like, yo, you gotta get over it. You can't it's we not here for the tears and the crying. Oh man, I want to get off, man. Oh, my feet hurt. Oh man, I gotta do this, I gotta do that. No, you can park that outside. I'm clocked in. It's still my rep. I'm still about to go here, do my job, and that's it. Like, I feel like it's a different mindset that sometimes people have, and I know the feeling because also seen where individuals will hate that you have that mindset. A lot of times you have people that you can work with or you can be chill, cool with, and they might not appreciate that you're a hard worker. Some individuals will, but then you also have people that might feel like you overstepping, you doing too much, and working, for an extended period of time in my field. You see all that. You see when people they feel a certain kind of way, they might not want to say anything, but it's their actions, and that's just the reality. You can't be so worried about somebody else and their personal views and their reaction about, oh, you doing too much or you working too hard. I'm not here to get the outcome of a friendship. Personally, I be telling people I can joke with you for days, but I'm just not here for the like I said to be um passive when it comes down to patient care. I feel like and that's they go for a lot of different things. Now, on this, what I'm planning on doing in the future, I want to talk about um different things, different stories that I'll come across, not sharing any patient information or anything like that. But just the some things that I come across, and not nothing to dog the place that I'm working. No, just the things that people have weird expectations when they get into the hospital. And be honest, I feel like it's because of Scrubs, it's because of Grey's Anatomy, because of like a lot of these TV shows who show like um everything is a kind of like a little bit of a joke. But I'm like, yo, it's other things that you need to understand so you don't be living in a ball of confusion when you actually get into a hospital, and things that you need to do so you don't have complications and you don't further your stay in the hospital. Like the one thing that I've seen came across, so they tell individuals you don't want to eat before you have a surgery because when they give you sedation, you can't protect your airway. That food can come up and then you throw and then you aspirate, then you have more issues. And that's why they try to tell individuals you don't want to try not to eat for a few hours before you have to have a surgery. So, all my patients that I have, and any individual I have, and they have to go and get a tracheostomy, which is it's an artificial airway right here in the neck. I tell them the process that for one, it's temporary, just so I'm trying to mentally get them strengthened. And then I tell them, the steps of what happens next. Like the only reason you got a trach is because we could not get you off the ventilator. Okay, 2 weeks and came up. They usually talk about trachs before the 2 weeks. They'll try one or two attempts for an extubation, which means get the breathing tube out. And then if that fails, they're talking about placing the trach. Um, you gotta get a trach because what happens is if you keep that breathing tube in, the ET tube, you tend to have you can get vocal cord paralysis. It's a lot of other things that can happen just by keeping the breathing tube in, and you can end up having more complications because of that. So you have tracheomalacia, tracheostenosis, and Malaysia is softening up of the around the tracheal rings. That can be an issue. Tracheostenosis is when that same area it can harden. Vocal cord paralysis, so your vocal cords is not actually closing when you're talking, so people can't talk. They feel like they lost their voice. It's a lot of other, like I said, it's a lot of complications that can happen. And for most people, they feel comfortable. They feel more comfortable not knowing that it's nothing touching their gag reflex. Um, but like I said, they'll do CPAP trials. So they have you spontaneously breathe on your own, give you a little bit of pressure support. Um, if you get off the ventilator from a CPAP, then they'll put you usually on a T-bar if you got a lot of secretions. From there, they'll put you on a trach shield. If you can clear your secretions, if you don't have a lot of secretions, and I always tell people once you get to a trach shield, just to motivate them, I tell them if you can get to a trach shield, they do a swallow eval, so you can actually try to eat something. They'll do a speech eval, so you can be able to talk, so you can be able to communicate. Um, and it's a step closer to a trach capping. So a trach capping is usually they'll cap the airway, and it's kept for I think 24 to 48 hours. And if everything is fine, if you can eat, sleep, no issues. Say if you oxygen start to dip a little bit, you can always throw a nasal cannula on. But if you ever had complications like you couldn't eat or anything like that, then that can set you back a little bit. But if everything goes good, then they will remove the trach and they will put a breathable gauze right there on the airway. And in a couple of days, it'll be closed up and be good to go. Like like a hospital is made for education. It's not made for to be selling fear. It's not made for people to be in the deep end of the pool and swimming in the unknown because they don't know what's gonna happen next. And that's how I want to have individuals, and if I have students, I try to tell them that. If I got a new nurse, I'm telling them like, hey, just let them know, kind of talk to them about why we switching on the Precedex instead of Pro. You know, I always tell them if they got issues with the blood pressure and it's on the softer side, figure out what kind of shock is it. You can't treat cardiogenic shock like septic shock. You can't treat hypovolemic like hyperthermic. Like you need to know what other ways can drop that blood pressure so you know how to fix it. Plain and simple. And people in the medical field, they've been in it for a while, they in the game, they got some skin in the game, they already know that. But delayed of care is a serious thing. If you got the misdiagnosis or you can have delay of care, that can lead to a cold type of event. Plain and simple. Like if you're treating cardiogenic shock, but the issue is sepsis and you ain't give the person no fluids, you're gonna have the same issue. You're gonna be coding that patient again in the next 30 minutes. So, you know, like I said, I wanna have a segment at some point which I'm gonna start breaking down stories. Like I said, nothing personal. I'm not even planning on throwing no doctors or anybody under the bus. Even though sometimes I actually, I got to go back and forth. But I realize that it's educational. I work at an educational hospital. It means we have plenty of residents, new grads all the time. You have to have patience for them, but also have patience for your patients to make sure we're not here for them to figure it out and make mistakes. No, you got to figure this out like now, so no mistakes is made. Plain and simple. I mean, that's just how my mind works. Um, Next thing I want to talk about. Um, Let me see. Let me see. Uh, so before I get into my music, like I said, I want to talk about my Pistons. I've been shouting them out for a while. This year has been crazy. Um, and recently against Charlotte, got into a little scuffle. Um, and man, but before the scuffle, before we start gloating and talking about the fight, I want to say that game, besides the fight, was probably hyper than the Super Bowl, in my personal opinion. I felt like the Super Bowl was a little dry. Like they was about to win it off of field goals. Nobody can get a touchdown to the fourth quarter. Like, I don't know. It wasn't. It just personally, I don't feel like the Super Bowl was exciting. It didn't have any highlights. It felt quiet as a game. Um, Nobody did nothing. And it's just my personal opinion. Now, fast forward a day later, we're going watching the Pistons versus the Charlotte Hornets. Charlotte's been on the road. Shout out to them. They're trying to actually get themselves into the play-in or to the eighth spot. I think they won 8 or 9 games straight. But up against the Pistons, we broke that streak. And man, what can I say, man? My Pistons, we have some dogs on the team. And Ron Holland was not there, which was probably a good thing. Because I felt like Ron would have definitely ran off on the court. And he probably was been suspended as well, probably about 5. He probably would have got about 5 or 7 games. But so fat like back rewinding a little bit. Um so Stu, JD, they get into a scuffle with the Charlotte Hornets. Um and I think Stu was the one that got the most suspensions because he wasn't actually on the court. He was on the sidelines, and you can't run from the sidelines. Apparently, that's a rule in the NBA. You can't run from the bench or the sidelines to get into a fight or even try to break things up. You gotta hope that the team, the players that's on there on the court is gonna break things up. Now, the funny part is, I think K, Tobias, Sar, that's clearly what they was doing. Duncan Robinson, on the other hand, you can tell homie was exhausted. He didn't want no parts. He was done with that. It's like it's a video, it's a picture going around. Film just like, oh man, here we go again. But at the end of the day, I get it, man. If you wasn't brought up like that, you ain't trying to get in the mix of it. I think it was other brothers that, on the other side, they had their head on the swivel because they didn't really know what was gonna happen next. Um, but the whole idea is if one of yours fight, it's not to say you all gotta fight. It's to say make sure you try to break it up, separate the individuals, put some hands on somebody and say, hey man, nah, not today. And de-escalate the situation. Especially when we are getting close towards the end of the season and playing time chemistry leading up to the playoffs is extremely important, and nobody on both teams can afford to miss uh that amount of time. Like a couple of $1 million, I think people might be missing out on a couple $1 million just because all the games that's people might be losing. I think JD got 2 games. The other brothers on the other team, they got 4 games each, and then Stu got 7 games. We ended up coming up with the dub, but they was making it a little difficult towards the end, came back. Um, like I said, I feel like the Pistons, we still in a good spot. I'm glad it wasn't 30 because the internet be doing internet stuff, and they were saying like, oh, I think we gonna see 30 plus games. And I'm like, how? I don't understand how we get to 20 to 30 plus games for somebody who ran off, they squared up, threw about 2 or 3 punches. That's it, walked off. No one else got injured. I'm like, that would have set a fire under the entire NBA. I felt like if it was 20 or 30. in my personal opinion. Um, but like I said, I think we are in a good position. I think the Pistons are in a good spot. Um, Clearly the number one in the East. Um, and let me see. The good thing that I peeped that 7 games, he'll at least be back before the end of this season. So we'll get him in the playoffs. But you don't want somebody to come back in the playoffs. You want somebody to come back, get him back like a couple of games before the playoffs, just so we can get that game chemistry. Like I said, we can't be moving off emotion towards the end of the year. I get it. It's the thing that everybody respect is, you know, you went to protect your brother. It wasn't like you was going you trust Duran that Duran can defend himself. But the second you had the other player on the Hornets wanted to square up and he throwing punches, I respect that because you not we about fair ones. And if you trying to throw fades and you want to try to somebody else want to jump in, but nobody else on the court was thinking about squaring up, I get it. I get it. I get it. But in the future, we got to be more disciplined. We can't be moving off emotion. We can't get locked into this not being available. And I think that's gonna be really important moving forward. Um, like I said, man, I don't like I said, it's nothing. It's not too many bad things you can say about the whole thing what Stu did because he stood up for his teammates. That's the one that you want them to do. It's gonna be feeling a certain kind of way when you look at Duncan Robinson. That picture keep floating around and him just turning turning around and just giving up. Like I don't know. Like I personally do not. I don't know, but I think Duncan Robinson. Everybody realize what he here for, and create good offense. Actually, good defense this year. And you don't come from that background, so man, I don't put no expectations on you to be start trying to throw hands and all that other stuff. All I'm saying is, make sure you try to grab somebody. Try to make sure you separate two individuals. That's all we asking. That's all we asking. We don't want to see no hands being thrown. I think each punch was a suspension. So, that's the only thing you can kind of ask for. Um, but with that being said, before I get up out of here, I want to play a couple of songs. And this is just a couple of songs from the album Chastised with Love. I think on my last video, I played a couple of sleepers that I had that's going to be on my next album. Uh, so, like I said, I'm working on Deception. That's going to be an album. Transformation is going to come after that in the further future. But Beloved is something that I already got pretty much cooked up, ready to go. So Beloved is gonna be an album reflecting um so many different things that brought me close to God. I'll say that. That's the purpose of writing Beloved. My name is David. If you look up what David means, what it stands for, is beloved. And that's the reason why I'm gonna name that album Beloved. And I know it's pretty close to Chastised with Love, but like I said, most of this stuff, this heat I'm sitting on for like the last 2 years, 2024. And to be honest, I haven't wrote anything in 12 years. Before that, the last time I wrote something was in 2012. And 12 years later, I get motivated, I get inspired, and I chose to do it again. So, um, like I said, I might actually, yeah. You know what? I'm gonna start from the top. Let me see here. Okay. I'm trying to make sure. That's not what I want. That's not what I want. I'm trying to get. All right. And want to play. I wonder. So the thing that I'm trying to do right now is I'm trying to get this played um from the beginning. Let me see something here. Spotify is acting crazy right now. All right. All right. All right. So I think I figured it out. Like I said, make sure you guys check me out. Music is on Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, D Lewis with a $sign, Chastised with Love. Like I said, next album is gonna be called Beloved. And then I got Deception following right after that.
Yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. Young prophet, choose wisely as you pick your topic. Just because you are in the cockpit doesn't mean you are the pilot to land us gracefully on something solid. Just know the youth is watching. You can't learn from a wrong turn if it takes 10 years to recognize it. I realize it's more than $signs to see a direct deposit. Oh, you are kicking knowledge. It doesn't matter if those seeds are rotten, misleading just to see an increase in green. But daylight won't never reach the inside of your pocket. Everything doesn't have to be overanalyzed. I got it, but don't leave your listener desensitized. My haters realize when anything promoting the destruction of my people doesn't get demonetized. How much is that $sign when staring in the eyes of a family left traumatized after their loved one died? What does it take to escape the feeling of being paralyzed? Young prophet, the one who sees $signs, took a break for a minute, now back to prophesying, predicting futures more than rap songs, creating shooters, bad environments pushed on us, from environmentalists stretching truths on us like bad rulers. Test your bloodline, what's your your relation to Judas, the betrayal of your people? Ask yourself, how can you do this? Using money, power, and emotion to only influence. Chasing respect, that's how they move us. But listen, I know I sound like a politician when I said you can spark change. Don't let your purpose service if you were influenced by Cain. Peace brings blessings, no stress in this world. Be feeding off pain to be remembered. Associate yourself with his name. The one who walks on water, hydroplanes. Before I slide, I wanna contribute to how far we came. Young prophet, kicking free game. Young prophet, kicking free game. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Superhero, supervillain. Share perspective in the eyes of your children. If they only knew what you had to do to have a pot to piss in. To raise you to be incredible was the only mission. Only corruption brings division. Even when the world envisions you as the villain. All I need is you to listen. Try not to be a heathen. The fire breathing destruction from what you're touching is what you're leaving. No convincing of being a hero is out of season. Turn your back on me without a reason. We call it treason. My moral compass lost something, and now I'm grieving. I broke down deception and gave you transformation, something to believe in. The plan is the mind, fertile land to plant a seed. And straight from the mental, a pencil is my best utensil. When I'm eating, an internal beat in my head keeps me feasting. If I'm your brother's keeper, then there's nothing leaking. I desire to inspire with every word that I'm speaking. Who knew words can defeat it? A demon. A simple prayer can turn an atheist into a deacon. A light in the sky, it must be a beacon. Symbolizing hope, it must be freedom. Superhero or supervillain, it depends on how you see him. Through peace and equality, how can we reach them? But it's powerful people who want to defeat him. The fear of losing power is the reason they bleed him. Why wait for after he's gone to recognize that you need him? If you ever feel alone, put on this song and you'll see him. Spare me the time that I lend you reverse favors. Indian givers every day on repeat. How did we meet? That's what I remember. The coldest days couldn't reach the peak of December somehow. We equated each other and met in the center. Life is created where most is lost. In Virginia around me, you can be yourself. No room for pretenders. Don't have your time locked away from misdemeanors. From a mister who pillow talks you since the day that he meets you. Divide your time up like pizza. Funny how he thinks because he featured that the next trip is to Virginia. When you need help, ask God for a feature. What do you see when you look in the mirror? No judgment from judges. Who's rocking mascara? Love yourself, don't let insecurities flare up. I feel your pain, you hear my struggle. Shared emotions, we leaned on each other. This is my birthplace, word to mother, I'm your keeper, word to brother. Never believed in distant lovers, you seek some heat. My rap sheet'll keep you covered. I have a plan if you let me land in a place undiscovered. But we ain't going nowhere without your permission to touch it. Most of these simps are sons of pimps who retired or bust. The father wasn't around, is why a simp can't sympathize a hustler. You don't realize your eyes keep me charged like a Tesla. So much game in your name, you can't even measure. Your mind is a forbidden treasure. Your body curving like kind of letters, trying to wind down, but over time it gets better. Try not to get shipwrecked because of this weather. Lost in Virginia, how did we get here? Game being sold, one of us buying. Usually identified as the one doing the shopping. It's the person that'll hit it as you locked in. Falling like quicksand, you gotta be a hitman. The way you make a killing, you can't escape from the feeling. If your body is eating, what a beautiful prison. I'm here to listen. If your door's open, there's nothing hidden. I make do with the time that's given, no comparison, it's a big difference. The plan when I touch down is that we both winning. To ease any hard living in Virginia, it could make you start transcending. From boys to men, accomplishing new beginnings. Power of a real woman. A humble soul, a relationship is worth more than gold. To live inside of your creation, the Garden of Eden, where nothing gets old. For those who choose to live outside your scope, I see changes in that story being told. Too fast to take, don't get lost on that road. Confidence can blind you when feeling bold. Idealizing ideas from imposters, profiting off souls. Being so glorifying the promises of coexistence with ancestors could feel magnifying. But the world is cold and too many teaching to be defiant. The one and only that can give us hope for a future that's promising. One thing that I'm learning as the world keeps turning, the sun will rise and fill the skies with the signs of our Savior returning. The first time I felt home, I rocked with a sermon that paralyzed my viewpoints on the money I'm earning. Stuck in place, where do you place all the wasted time that's burning? Life too short, so try to live proper instead of chasing Gucci, LV, Prada. See more scars, the C-section appointments met with a doctor who covered up scars that are just friendly reminders. You could have saved someone, but it's met with a kind, met with a sort of, met with a later. I see people be lionized, the whole town would tear you down if your name was Mufasa. Look at how these imposters did to the Messiah. All others can get to stepping like there are too many fathers. Ducking intersections where fake can be fatal. Chasing a dollar, fear of a loss. The best else is life lessons learned from a poor man. You can't get from a scholar. Humble yourself by helping others. The payout could be massive. Don't let a moment hold you captive. Retract what you thought was attractive. It was just a distraction. Clear your mind like skincare to be proactive. When the creator is your day one, you gotta stay active. You've done so much for me that I can't stay passive. Who only knew Nip was an Ethiopian Jew that taught through music the things he mastered. Know yourself and you can't move backwards, trying to prove a point, but it ain't no factor. Factories, 12-hour shifts are where dreams get captured when life gets sad. Losing people to laughter is a peace of mind. That is the only thing that we can revise ourselves. There's so many things that break you down that you condone. Can't find God through a phone. Tell your loved ones you love them before they are gone. It was common practice that your son's name kept so many strong. Their names changed when those dropped the atomic bomb. Went from demons to aliens, but fear of your son's name made him run along. God brings calm to bad weather when you're cold to keep you warm. His opposition is synonymous with a storm. No need to be alarmed if you've been warned. The creator of creation is nothing greater than your final form. Poetic justice. Riding no mail truck will run away in my two-seater. How far can I get with a passport and a new visa? Chasing them Thundercats when you know they can turn into a cheetah. Step brothers when Catalina wine mixer from a woman who likes to party on boats. Your girlfriend got that one friend where her nose looks like the home of Superman because she parties with coke. A woman would never understand when a man's pride gets out of hand. They said we do the most mean mugs for those thugs who want to smoke. You desire power until you meet a ghost. Cold summers from scratch off like lottery numbers. Unidentifiable burners overcooking their toast. Chasing a whole loaf until they break that toaster. Internal quotes can turn a ghost into a ghostbuster. LLC with a couple of G's. Birthed a business from a hustle, that's a true hustler. My dog sold more smoke than broke mufflers. But what's a customer to a dealer when the product never got moved from the smuggler? What a neighbor, do me a favor when you say we should rob a bank. Thank me later, this world determinate your free will, creating false saviors. Turn around and be a terminator. Terminate any bullshit ideas before they go into labor. Manifestation of prison cells got you trapped like sickle cell, trying to reach paper when the sky is the limit. Why settle for skyscrapers? Apply pressure when life will test you like breathalyzers, pulled over from a culture who despise you. But fuck that and how they see us. Same one see me with a joint and a 40. Got a bad bud and Budweiser. Speak on me, I hope you're wiser. You will need 3 riders when your product stepped on with more legs. The 3 spider definition of peak means you can't get any higher. High off of self-esteem with dreams to inspire. But best believe me, it ain't easy. Knowing cosign is hard to find, like the coastline. When you free your mind, be yourself to be the realest on your timeline. This is dedicated to the collective who share the same perspective. I detect Christ consciousness, that's something for the detectives. The same ones who neglect us see movement in our unit and found ways to separate us, segregate us with new ways to hate us. Just a 21-year-old out of Illinois with plans for opposition to respect us. Dreams of unification through action and demonstrate. Was Fred Hampton, the birthplace of the Panthers, died before ideas got realized. Just 21 years before he vanished. When the youth meet their roots before bearing fruit is not sustainable for the planet. It's a better way to try to imitate what God have done single-handedly. Now, don't judge. Crucify me with fake love, the creator of the simulator. We are fractions of what you're made of. Is that why in my mind I find divine energy? So I know the stories aren't made up. The entitled give titles like saying where we're made of stardust. Translation made from God because God resides in us. Translation, we are made from love. Faith is trust, correlation, God is love. From an atom to the stars above, His presence is apparent, watching over us. The first concept of a parent. Now that you woke, Jesus Christ conscience got you coherent. The bond of soul ties, being in lock with the Holy Spirit. We all know the assignment. Locked in exercising, free will for the wheel alignment. Full circle from fighting to climb the highest peak to finding peace when trying to change the climate. We the collective make change. Not a billionaire who flies private with a fear of speaking on human rights is why they remain silent. From corporations who choose violence by dividing the nation. It's power in unification. It's no longer hidden in conversation. The transfer of energy. If you're seeking confirmation, lose petals for most who sit on a pedestal, thirsting for condensation. The beautification of we the rose. Now one soul can create a duplication. Pick up brothers and sisters like loose petals so they know their placement. Don't get lost with the imitation. Chasing someone else's dreams will only leave you with your imagination. Stargazing like you studied the constellations. The battle within, just know you're not alone. So no need for ducking the confrontation. The collective. Listen, nephew, the game of life. You give it all that you got in vision. You rapping when you was younger. Mimic, keep paid, get older. Don't roll the dice with your life. Chasing a thought. You used to hoop a lot. Here's a few dollars you could place in your sock. If they try to rob you, your uncle named Tetris will move on they block. But scratch that, how about your grades? How many A's that you got? If I found out you got alcohol in your system like zombies, your body will ride. Don't let the pressure stress you, leaning on lean or losing or not. Bought a car and put some rims on it when you needed some shocks. Your decision for the shocks, missing is wires, parked in a lot. Learn to live a little, learn is what separate a soul from a body. Here's a lesson, don't share addresses before someone running your spot. Get protection, don't let emotions point you in the wrong direction. I know you slept in church, but at some point you gotta know God to receive His blessing. If not, someone catching interceptions. Listen to your parents, you can learn off their confessions. Pace through life while you rushing like some salad dressing. I'm not promoting procrastination, you gravitated to all hood movies like Paid in Full. What what's your fascination? Go talk to your grandfather, a pastor who mastered being a Freemason. Trust your intuition, don't be a victim of your generation. Second placement of someone else's vision is what you're faced with. Listen, nephew, it's nothing God can't give you to exceed your expectations. Once you master perception, there's no limit on limitation. A New Orleans rapper who found independence like July and started elevating. That could be you in anything you do. Just add value in any time you're wasting what goes to be rich. Help the sick for that day you become a patient. That roll a switch and you'll pray. Your caretaker has some patience. Feed a homeless man can help you forecast your thoughts across the nation. A good deed will help you proceed on dry land. Is how you build relation. Who would've thought the man with the tattoos was destined for greatness? And faith keeps me fearless. We'll meet this destination's food for thought. When thirsty, find condensation. When the air is too dense, in a room to consume, find ventilation. Remove yourself. I see you seek vaping to be cool for validation. Don't look down on under because hating could be contagious. Fear is just a fragrance, the temporary water in June. Before it meets evaporation, find that light inside to escape it. Look, I know what you've been through. Focus on the free game that I give you. Work on the spiritual because God knows what you're into. The financial for when problems come up, it's nothing can't handle. The physical, what you don't use, you can lose. The body can be the temple, but be careful, it can be dismantled. The mental, if you're strong, then everything else will follow. These 4 laws and principles to grow you as an individual. Identity crisis to walk in blind faith when you don't know who Christ is. A fish out of water who identifies with a Pisces. The dreams that come to me when I close my eyelids. To move mountains just mean build pyramids. Life lessons are just confessions on how to live. Tithes and offerings, what you seek when blessing others will one day bless your kids. Give them protection and guidance. Mental tools to use when they deal with the crisis. When they lose trust, they don't open up and seem tight-lipped. Gotta put the work in if it involves working night shifts, so they don't jump ship. Understanding your purpose is God's gift. Find it before reaching the bottom of that cliff. I'm here to heal, don't lose me like the Fugees did Wycliffe. Be your own competition, then there are no contests. Don't let a bald head reflect that you're stressed. Don't let the world determine that you're nothing more than makeup in a tight dress. Shallow thoughts with a Loch Ness. Get exposed and life's a hot mess. A bunch of bad boys dealing with choppers until they leave the nest. Let me guess, it's better options to protect your chest. You like what's next. You can't fix problems with shopping to satisfy your flesh. Ask yourself, what's the shelf life of being trapped in a shell of being selfish? Well, eternity will certainly if you don't repent. You can't run from the sins on your skin. They will tell on you before judgment. How to save others if you need a hint. Find God to find yourself through discipline. Staying humble to fix a problem when it meets trouble. Who knows the ones who say it's all good until it ain't? That's a fixed bubble, no value to how they live on social. It's just a facade, like archangels who imitate God. I park my thoughts under the brightest light like I don't own a garage. I find comfort in knowing myself, my life is not a mirage. Go through pain to feel good. Life is like a massage. Thank God for today, because when yesterday is gone, I'm mourning and grieving. I wake up from dreaming, pick a side, because I'm fighting off demons, no kicking and screaming. You claim to be woke, but you talk while you're sleeping. Hey, I can't replicate what you're feeling or thinking. Daily struggles try to convert you to drinking. Turn to God, go on and pledge your allegiance. Wake up to a prayer for no possessions from the legion. When you're faced with your demons, ask yourself, who do you believe in? To lose it is out of season. To keep faith is a billion reasons. When face to face with a billion heathens with some help from God, I'm here to say, let's start with breathing. If you did a mental fast, well today I gotta say you started cheating. 7-Eleven, the day you started reading the book that can alter your life, the archetype that can make you live right. I've seen a prototype of what to do so you don't live through the things in my dreams. I fight the darkness that feast on night gods. Words can sharpen swords when you can't cut with a knife. I can't wait till the day to release all that light. I love my job, in spite of giving up once for others' needs is my sacrifice. The faces I see I will meet again, just know I brought them to Christ. This ain't for the weak, those who can handle bars like they riding on bikes. Just listen, I pray for peace when I'm pissed like a piston. All hell's in remission, the only mission and goal is to save a 2-year-old, but I got asked for permission. I vocalize that I see vocal cords, I see with precision. Just wishing they called me earlier, I'm never that distant. I got them back, but I get no recognition. It's cool like a wheelchair, I ain't tripping. 2 hours later, time did me no favors. I was stuck, stressing at a bougie party. They were popping bottles, I was reminiscing. I gotta have an introduction to a doctor who said, oh, you're representing with my badge on there. There was a lack of understanding that I worked there, but I was gonna keep them guessing, head scratching. A bunch of rich jokes get no reactions, kept composure, feeling packed in. Oh, you worked today, the question asking, how was your day? But don't wanna know what happened. What would I use when I'm reacting good or bad? When irritated is my reaction to perception of good and bad. On 7-Eleven, you couldn't imagine that's my life. 24/7 in a closed caption. Out of and 7-Eleven, I woke up one morning to an invitation to meet God. But it was hard to meet this destination, I wasn't feeling it. Tired at first, something started changing. The voice I heard went fast and started saying, go to find peace and release all that pain you're saving. I was going to church, but first time being at a non-denomination, I felt the images when walking in, it felt amazing. Picture a preacher preaching in front of crutches and prescription no longer needed. If you didn't see it for yourself, you would have thought I was reaching to a carpenter who walks on water. One day you will reach your reincarnation, reborn again for all the souls you're saving. Service started at 6, but at 7-Eleven I started realizing this was a day of prophesying. He looked in my eyes and saw stress to an impact. The whole world I'm empathizing with, I see it needs fixing. But mankind at times can be so defiant that it doesn't mean every last one of us should stop trying. I had a proposition that can better your health. Place hands over others when praying before over self. The opposite of what they teach you on plays. When a neighbor's seeking some help, a young age chasing hearts, that's the cards that were dealt. You reflecting me, I'm reflecting you. I know the energy's felt. I spoke on deception. Parents who used to receive love through a belt. I hope all hurt people who hurt people find love for themselves. Mother Earth, I know it hurts when giving birth to mankind just for them to pick money first. Corporations who plant people before planting seeds in the dirt, or work in a factory until it has no juice. Your battery, a plan is always a plan. Definition of casualty at war with yourself. I pray for the ones who'll be after me after I land on my point. All green is seen until it meets the sea. This is what I do casually. I double my life, I didn't know I would make it past 16. Each verse is a story, I can't fit it in a 16. I'm 35, when I close my eyes I see classmates who got blindsided by a defender who switches screens. His God is my protector. His people don't need to see sunscreen. It's not about a bulb of color, just know God loves it. Your ancestors got here without it is what I mean. I can't pretend to have to be one, meant to be 2024, rolling like 24 on bumpy roads. I pray for those, even if you're not a kin to me. The masses in crisis who suffer from lost identity. These assassination attempts was a glimpse of what was done to the Kennedys. Pray for my brothers, a prayer for my sister. Pray for my mother, for my father. To pray for my enemies when pain is shared. It's paired when affects the others. Something like kidneys. The guilt that was in the room the last time Bobby saw Whitney. Wishing to change your lifestyle, but God said it's okay. Oh, she's right here in me, with me. I pray for my protection. Today words would be used as a weapon and point me in the right direction to free the souls who were misled by false perception. To be free is based off the choice we make, to have clarity, find God for goodness sake. Testimonies that arise out of a fiery lake. Behold, be the one God calls on to save. Idols who we vitalize, pray to raise them up from internal fires. Pray over them after they expire. For so long I know they are tired. Where God's people right with faith to supersede supernatural life. To know God, find Jesus Christ. The history they hide, you can't learn overnight. The story of Simeon Toko is told from the medical apartheid. The things my people go through, I'm here for the truth and the lies to collide. They gave you Lucius to play Lucian in on Empire, to be the bad guy, just to say you didn't have a black messiah. Pray for the world to get some discernment. Why do so many artists go through so much torment? I heard a pastor say the devil uses music, his body as an instrument, a tool used to influence. Not knowing that, do you know what you're doing? I had to fast to find inner peace. Moving fast in those streets would have you fast asleep. To be Christ-like and wash some feet, to be genuine, it's the first one you meet. 1 second with God will feel like a century. The power of Ephesians speaks on spiritual warfare. 6:11, the power to speak again is forever lost when people choose to worship man. The false temptations people mistake for heaven. What it takes for me to feel this free. I trained for strength, the philosophy of Bruce Lee and others who came before me. Because deep down I didn't know prayer could be this strong. Some days these stories get to me, but somehow God always places me where I'm meant to be. A trip to Atlanta for many reasons. God told me to get out of the driver's seat that day. I felt my insides move to the rhythm of my heartbeat. You could look in my eyes and could see my soul defeat. We were on a plane home, but it felt like someone carried me when I got home. I feel fast asleep with conversation with God to fulfill his prophecy. Our Father in heaven to be proud of me. Life no person should feel like property. I hope to lead you to be financially stable. I was free with a book of poems that have a longevity longer than the Odyssey. Honestly, I got deeper than any Greek mythology. After my mother's surgery, the love for my family as we took on responsibility grew stronger. God strengthens me when I go through adversity. A prayer is an oath to God. God doesn't play with perjury. I prayed every day since January, the same prayer I gave my wife when she needed a full recovery to bear a child. Every day I lose an opportunity. I got faith in God. I know he got faith in me. Basically, you were there for all of my mistakes and brought me out gracefully. The blessing to give, I didn't know you would call my dog home on May 13th. After that day, my passion for writing resurfaced, and I started to think around the same time. I started a competition in my department to lose weight. My cousin who said, know your history resurfaced and gave me some juice to drink, which helped me my mother out. This must be fate. Inspiration, oh, I cleared my mind. Went fasting for 2 months straight. So God use my body to motivate. All I can see a younger me walking down the aisle. All smiles the day I got saved. Let me start with.
All right, so um that is the first 12 songs on the album. Like I said, the album is called Chastised with Love. Most every song has it's a meaning, it's a purpose, it's to help somebody. So hopefully the individuals who listen to it, it helped them. Um and like I said, I got more music coming, more poetry coming. Um and that's about it. Like I said, I'll check back in with you guys later. And some things that will be coming is I'm trying to make a playlist of all of the songs that's on my album. It's a solid hour, like to the T. It's an hour worth of work. Far as the music that I released already, with Chastised with Love. So I want to make the goal in the future is coming. Is I'm planning on dropping a video, just something of a collage of just this album. Because for me personally, I feel like to me it's more than a vibe. It's hopefully to change the perspective of individuals who are trying to figure it out. So with that being said, make sure you like and subscribe. Check me out on Substack. Make sure you check me out on YouTube. I'm on Instagram. I'm on TikTok. My music is on all platforms. And all right, I'm done. Appreciate it.